Hi Roomies, it's Roma, and today we are doing something a little different and getting out of the house again, and we are at the world-renowned Bellagio. And there's three things I always like to do when I come here, and I do them all the time. I like to see the Chihuly ceiling, I like to watch the fountains, and I like to see the conservatory, the flowers in the conservatory. Fun fact, in case you don't know, the conservatory changes every season, and any season you come that might be the previous sort of same time of year. So if you come again in the fall, the next fall if you come, the flowers will be completely different. So they're never the same. So you always have a different perspective, a different type of enjoyment from the conservatory. So anytime you come, like if you come in the springtime or summer, anytime you come, those repeated seasons, they're never the same. So that's always nice. So today I thought we'd get out and check out the conservatory and just get an idea of what can inspire you and what types of things that you can draw for inspiration in your own home, and look and see what just sort of gives you a different perspective on color stories or design or textures or patterns. Because I think when you leave your surroundings or the environment that you're always used to, when you get out and look at something in a completely different way, it gives you a different perspective on how to decorate. So if you're not doing that, this might give you some inspiration on how to do that. I mean, you don't have to fly to Vegas, but I'm sure there is a hotel that you like to go to, or there's might be one near the area where you live that might give you some inspiration, and you can go visit that and just check out some areas in the hotel that might give you some inspiration on design. So let's go in and take a peek. I always wonder, yes, and those are real. I do think they mix some faux flowers in with the real thing, but all of what I'm touching right now are real. I mean, of course, the giant pumpkin is not, but the flowers and the foliage on the bottom definitely are. Yeah, I think the things that you can touch are real, and the things that you can't are not. I like how they've mixed the different colors together to give you the patterns for fall. So they have the burgundies down in there, and the peachy colors, and the green. And this isn't a color that you typically think of for fall. Maybe you do this yellow, but maybe not this peachy color, but I do like that together. And even how they bring in the pinks and those pinky tones, that's not a color that you would normally think for fall, but I like how they've brought it all together. Normally, you would think about just the coppery tones that they have, like in the cattails and the browns, but I really like the mixture of the different colors and textures. So if you were thinking about how to blend in some of the other colors that you may still have from summer, this is probably a good way that you can bring those in from summer into the fall colors. You could leave them out or maybe switch them in for a darker tone of pink, but then add in your fall colors to kind of bring it all together. So I did take a peek at this online, and I have to say, we've lived here for about 12 years now, and I probably come every season. Fall and winter are probably my favorite. They usually have a pretty nice one in spring too. I don't get down here that much in summer because the summer is just so hot, and I try not to get out here so much, but I want to say that this is probably the best fall feature, flower feature scene that I have experienced since we've been living here. I really enjoy this one. The other interesting thing I have picked up I have never seen them do this before. Maybe they've done it and I just have never seen it, or seen it in a display or haven't come to it, is they added these light fixtures, which I think are really cool. I love how they look like chandeliers you would have in your home. The other thing I really like about it is you can see the filament and the light bulb, which I think is kind of cool. I've always liked to decorate or design with those Edison bulbs where you can see the filament. To me, it just gives you a little more, an extra design element in your light fixture. I think it's pretty cool. Most people don't like those, but I like them. I'm gonna probably always like them. It's just a nod to something that was long ago, and now everyone's into the LED lights, and I get it, but I still like the look of those better. And the warm light they sort of cast in the orange tones, it just adds more to the fall. It just gives you that color and that feeling of fall. So yeah, let's just take a peek around the corner and see what that's all about. Okay. I want to fall in there trying to reach for it, because I probably will, my luck. Oh yeah, those are real pumpkins. Yeah, those. You always kind of have to check, but I think the things that you can touch, I think are real, and then the stuff that you can't is not. Yeah, that's not. You can look at that and tell it's not. Yeah, but I mean, to find a pumpkin this real, that large, that's real.
Around the corner we go.
Just look at that, the owl, and then the leaves on the tree, and the water coming down. I always love how they have a different water feature. It seems every season they have a way to add water to the conservatory feature. So I think in the spring, we came one year and they had teapots that were pouring tea into the teacups, but the fountain was the water coming out of the teapot into the teacup. So that was kind of neat, but I like how they've done this too. It's really neat. And of course they have my favorite, the dragonflies. You know, I love a dragonfly. Let's take a peek around the corner. I don't know what kind of plant this is, but we used to have some of these at our old house. We had them in the backyard. Smell good, like flowers. Smell like flowers. This is a cool little shot where you can see the light fixture, the dragonflies, the flowers, and then there's, I guess, Mother Nature to the left and how the water comes down. So this is something that they've added, I think within the last year or so, where you can have a meal inside the conservatory at a private dining table. So you do need to make reservations pretty early because it does fill up pretty quickly, but it gives you a different sort of exclusive dining experience at Sadelle's. I think they have a different menu or a fixed menu that you can order from. And if you haven't eaten at Sadelle's, I think it's one of my other restaurants I like to come to. I brought my daughter here a couple times. They have good breakfast. I'm a breakfast person. I really like pancakes and eggs and that sort of stuff. I mean, and they have other things too, but we usually come out here for breakfast when we're meeting friends and stuff. The thing that I also think is, you know, it's strange, but it's me, is they have really good fresh fruit and some of the biggest blueberries I think I've ever seen. They're probably, you know, those big old GMO berries, but I don't care. They're really good. So, if you are thinking about something to do when you're in Vegas and having a different dining experience, this is something you should try. Oh, we have to get this over here. Yeah, I like the leaves, the copper color, and them sort of falling down. Definitely gives you those fall vibes, just with the color and the added texture and the shimmer of the leaves. And you know, you can't ever go wrong with a dragonfly. Yeah, this is cool. Okay, this is giving me carpet vibes. Like a really nice, thick, plush carpet you'd unroll and let it just roll out. Stick your feet on it, or a really nice like comforter or throw blanket. I don't know, that's what it reminds me of. Just that plush and lush sort of. And I like the different colors and textures. And again, this pinky tone isn't something I would have thought that would be a fall color, but I like how they've blended it in with the dark burgundy color, and it sort of makes it work. And so sometimes that's things that you wouldn't have probably put it together yourself, but when you've gone someplace else and seen it, it might inspire you to do it in your own place. So I do also like the height difference in the mushrooms. So it reminds me of certain, when you're making like your coffee table sort of arrangements, how you might have a lower coffee table stacked underneath a higher one, so you have a little more surface area. So if you're in a place where you have more sofa, like if you have more area where you have a longer sofa or a deeper sofa, or more area where you have more space in between your sofas, a nesting sort of coffee table might be something you might want to think about. Get 2 round tables, a smaller one, nest them on top of each other, and then that can give you a little more surface area. That was one of the other things I thought about. So again, just seeing inspiration of other things can give you some ideas of how to decorate in your own home. I love babies. They just make me smile. Okay, this is kind of quirky, but I kind of like it. So again, when you're decorating with different texture, as you see, the frog has a bunch of different textures and different colors. I'm sure if you touched it, it would feel a little more rough, or not smooth like frog skin, but a little more rough to the touch, which is kind of nice. I also like, it still carries those same colors and tones in. It's got the browns and the gold and those sort of tones, and they've just added some neutral. They've added some black and white, because I'm also a fan of the black and white. And I like how they've sort of still tied in all of the burgundy tones, but it's a different pattern. So it's different shapes and textures from just changing the flowers. So you've changed these to roses from the flowers that are over here in the mushrooms, and you change the flower here, and it just looks like a completely different pattern. So again, when you're adding those different patterns and tones and textures, that changes how you view your space, or how you view the material, or just a simple throw blanket over the back of your couch will change the look of the whole space there. So you change that little pattern or that little texture, and it changes the whole look of it. So just the mushrooms on the mushroom here and the textures here on these mushrooms are completely different than the others, but they did that simply by changing the pattern or changing the texture or the type of flower they use. So it looks like a completely different type of material. So those are things you have to think about when you're decorating is, how can I switch this out? Even if it's a subtle change or a little change with something, it will make it look or feel completely different. I'm not a fan of Pampas grass. I don't know, I guess I think it was one of those things that was sort of overdone, one of those trends that everybody sort of jumped on and then you got oversaturated with and got tired of it. But I like how they used it here to add a different level of texture and softness to this, and some verticality too. And then in this display where they have it inside where they have it inside mixed in with the cattails. So I like how it adds a different sort of texture to it, kind of softens it up from the copper and the brass of the cattails that they have there. Just softens that area with the grass, and it gives you a different color to sort of be drawn to instead of just the green. If the green was just there by itself, it wouldn't give you that extra depth or dimension. And so adding the cattails just gives you that extra layer. And again, that's just how you should decorate. You add different layers and different patterns of things. Even if you just do a subtle change or subtle color change, it makes a big difference. Whether you think it does or not, I mean, it really does change how that looks. So we're inside this rotunda they have in the center, which they usually don't have something like this where you can walk across in the middle, so that's neat and different. I like the pillars, and I also like how they've tried to paint this where it looks aged, looks weathered, looks ancient, and a little more rustic. So that's cool. I've seen this done with walls and that sort of thing. It's the same thing when you're trying to do the plaster finish on your wall, or the lime wash and that type of finish. It's just a different style, a different way of doing it. But it adds another dimension to your walls and to your paint. It just makes it so it doesn't appear so flat. So I kind of like that. And again, so we came to talk about the verticality of this and just how it raises it up and makes your eye have to go up instead of just being focused on the flowers down here. Again, Pampas grass isn't my favorite thing, but I do love how they've added it in here just to give you a different texture or a different vertical object to sort of focus on. And if it was just the green, it wouldn't have the same effect. So I like how it's the green, and then there's the other grass that comes in, and then they've added these Pampas grass to sort of soften all of that together and just give you another look. I think the thing that I like the least is probably what I'm sure most people like the most is this feature here with the pumpkins and that. I don't know, it just looks kind of, it doesn't look as real or as authentic or as natural as some of the other things. I don't know. I like the colors of it. I do like how they still added the pumpkins, which I'm sure are real. Just the owls are kind of, I don't know, they're just kind of fake to me. But I like water. So the water feature is cool. And I don't know, I like the visual look of water and the sound of water. It's very comforting, relaxing, so that's always nice. I didn't see this from the front, I only saw it from the back. And so I was talking about how it's Mother Nature, and it's not a woman at all. It's actually kind of a big old man with a beard, which is kind of cool. Here. And I like how it's the water feature. It's coming from the bucket that he's pouring in. That's really cool. As you exit the conservatory and come across to the spa, there's an elevator that brings you up to the spa, and there is this balcony that you can come out from the spa and just take a look at the conservatory and just see it in a different view. And so the thing I wanted to leave you with today is think about ways to change your environment or ways to change your perspective or how you're looking at things, I guess. Sometimes I think we get in the habit of viewing things the same way all the time, or not trying to see things in a different light or a better light, or knowing that where you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. And so I think there is some comfort in that, and there is some beauty in that, and I think it's difficult, not saying that that is easy, but I think sometimes it's refreshing or relieving or comforting, I guess, to know that you are right in the place where you're supposed to be. So if you can view that in a way that's positive and loving and caring, then I think that is half the battle sometimes. I really hope you enjoyed venturing out today and getting some outside of the house inspiration on how to decorate for fall. And I guess this video you can use on how to decorate in any season, but it's, since we are in fall and we're talking about those things, but it will give you a different sort of perspective on, oh yeah, you know, just looking at things in a different way, and how you add different textures and the small changes you do to different things, and how that changes the entire look of things. And just hopefully, again, you found something useful from this video, and you found it helpful and educational and fun and different. And we're going to continue to do some videos like this where we're just out and about and trying to just give you some inspiration and hopefully give you some things to think about in your own space and where you live. You know, I'm sure there are nice hotels where you live, and you just go to those hotels and see what you could also find for inspiration. And as always, I look forward to creating with you.